Friday, May 29th, 2020. Just after sunrise, police quietly moved through a tranquil street in Axbridge. Inside one of the homes, what they uncovered was just the tip of the iceberg. A criminal network valued at nearly £1 billion 18 months later, in December 2021, dock workers at Sheerness began unloading yet another refrigerated banana shipment. Routine work they'd done countless times. But this time, something didn't feel right. One container was set aside, and what was inside would lead detectives into one of the most sophisticated smuggling networks the UK had ever encountered. Fast forward to July 26, 2023. Two vans left Newhaven port in the early morning light. Just a few miles up the A26, police waited in silence. When they moved, it was over in seconds. 3 separate locations, yet all connected by the same machinery of organized crime. Encrypted messages, hidden compartments, and men who thought they had built the perfect system. This is the story of how major operations in London, Kent, and Sussex were dismantled by UK police and the National Crime Agency. Welcome to UK Crime Documentaries. Let's dive straight into the case. Between 2017 and 2020, a criminal organization operated across London and Greater Manchester on a scale that would later stun investigators. 12 men, linked through encrypted messaging, controlled a supply chain that moved tons of Class A drugs through the UK's ports and distribution hubs. What connected them wasn't a single warehouse or a branded front. It was the EncroChat network, a system they believed was untraceable. At the center was Paul O'Brien, a 57-year-old from Axbridge. He acted as the coordinator, negotiating directly with European suppliers and managing the operation's finances. His messages revealed discussions about multi-ton cocaine shipments, euro payments, and coded language for consignments beneath him. Lee Mortimer, 40, from Rusip, handled regional deliveries, cash drops, and the logistics of moving product through West London safe houses. To the north, 36-year-old Jonathan Strugalos, based in Manchester, controlled the northern arm. He arranged import routes, oversaw warehousing, and managed wholesale distribution. His messages linked him to Matthew Parsons, 38, who coordinated transport and managed schedules for lorry movements from European ports. Paul Shaw, also 38, oversaw couriers and maintained contact with drivers at Harwich and other access points. Finances ran through a separate layer. Marcus Elmer, 52, specialized in cash handling and cleaning operations. Jonathan Whitley, 56, handled laundering through vehicles, property, and fake companies. Anthony Sheehan, 37, operated as a lower-tier supplier within London. European contacts were managed by Markin Jash, 47, who arranged continental supply and oversaw imports of high-purity cocaine and heroin. Liam Cherrett, 45, distributed shipments to regional buyers. John McGuire, 65, and his son Ross, 36, managed street-level resale, the final link between bulk imports and local dealers. Every message, payment instruction, and route adjustment passed through EncroChat, and when it fell, the entire empire collapsed instantly. What appeared to outsiders as unrelated operators was actually a structured organization, a supply chain built like a business. Every member had a role, every movement was coded, and every transaction encrypted. They believed it made them invisible, a belief that would ultimately be their undoing. By early 2020, after analysts decrypted EncroChat, the Metropolitan Police, National Crime Agency, and Essex Police suddenly had access to thousands of previously hidden message threads. One name kept surfacing in conversations between the London and Manchester cells: Thomas Maha, a convicted smuggler. Maha had already been jailed in 2020 for using his transport business to move drugs and cash between the UK and mainland Europe. The overlap between Thomas Maha's logistics network and Paul O'Brien's organization was too precise to ignore. Another active handle uncovered was ONEDIAMONDGE, already linked to O'Brien through earlier surveillance. Cross-referencing those encrypted messages with cell site data and financial records revealed the full structure of his network and the staggering scale of its operations. As we've already discussed, EncroChat records showed both groups using the same vehicle types, ferry routes, and drop-off points. Messages from O'Brien's account reference joint shipments and cash transfers, described in code as tickets, slang for loads or payments moving through Irish and Dutch ports. Dates and figures in those messages align perfectly with Maha's known movements, painting a picture of a shared, cross-border supply corridor. The National Crime Agency traced several of O'Brien's communications to contacts in Ireland, while the Garda National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau was already investigating a related stream of Euro transactions. On May 6, 2020, Garda officers stopped a vehicle in Drogheda and seized 600,000 euros in cash. The timing and serial numbers of that seizure matched messages exchanged between O'Brien and his European contacts. That same week, further analysis by the NCA and Garda mapped a consistent route used by the network. Consignments left the Netherlands, crossed into the Republic of Ireland, or went directly to Essex and Harwich, before moving inland through Liverpool or along the M6 corridor. Each leg of the journey was managed by a different cell. Fragmenting responsibility, Maha's transport chain handled the continental leg, while O'Brien's group controlled import and distribution in the UK. Investigators believe this multi-route design was deliberate, allowing the gang to reroute shipments when seizures occurred, often using legitimate freight companies as cover. Every movement left a digital footprint on EncroChat, creating a cross-European blueprint of a network spanning Ireland, the Netherlands, and the UK. It became clear that O'Brien's billion-pound enterprise didn't operate in isolation. It was part of a continental supply web, already exposed by Maha's downfall, a web now unraveling from both ends. The first decisive move came on May 29, 2020, when the Metropolitan Police raided O'Brien's Axbridge home. The early morning operation was swift. Officers forced entry and discovered exactly what the EncroChat chat logs had predicted: drug ledgers, encrypted phones, and a large stash of cash hidden behind a false wall. O'Brien was arrested on the suspicion of conspiracy to import and supply Class A drugs. With him in custody, attention shifted north. Investigators working alongside the NCA and Greater Manchester Police tracked the parallel cell led by Jonathan Stroilus. Over the following months, officers executed a series of coordinated warrants in Manchester and Essex, arresting couriers, distributors, and financial handlers linked to the wider conspiracy. In each search, the same patterns appeared: encrypted devices, coded documents, and references matching O'Brien's seized materials word for word. As arrests gained momentum, forensic accountants began untangling the group's finances. Property transfers, vehicle sales, and business accounts revealed profits laundered through a web of seemingly legitimate firms: logistics companies, construction outfits, and high-end car dealers. Inside one property, investigators recovered over 160 kilograms of cocaine, more than 1 million pounds in cash, and a collection of luxury watches and vehicles, believed purchased through shell companies. Later that year, the NCA and Essex Police carried out a linked operation at Harwich Port. Intercepting another container shipment, hidden among legitimate goods were 138 kilograms of cocaine and 8 kilograms of heroin. By combining digital forensics, traditional surveillance, physical seizures, and financial investigation, Operation Venetic evolved from an intelligence exercise into a full-scale strike against one of Britain's most profitable criminal enterprises. What had started as a single decrypted line of text had now expanded into a chain of evidence, stretching from encrypted screens all the way to seized cargo. It was proof that even the most carefully hidden networks could be traced, mapped, and ultimately dismantled. By the end of 2020, the once tightly coordinated organization was collapsing piece by piece. Their encrypted shield had failed, their finances were under intense scrutiny, and the leadership was either behind bars or in hiding. The billion-pound network that had operated in the shadows for years was now unraveling in plain sight of the agencies it had worked so hard to evade. By 2022, when proceedings began at Isleworth Crown Court, prosecutors described it as one of the largest drug conspiracies ever prosecuted in the UK. Across a series of hearings from 2022 to 2024, 12 men faced trial for conspiracy to import and supply Class A drugs. And for laundering the enormous profits that followed, the Crown Prosecution Service laid out the full picture. How the organization had moved around 8 tons of cocaine and heroin through British ports, with an estimated street value exceeding £1 billion. Officers from the Metropolitan Police, National Crime Agency, Essex Police, and Garda Síochána presented a joint case showing exactly how each regional arm of the network fit together. After months of evidence, the sentences reflected the scale and professionalism of what the court described as a calculated and highly organized operation. Following sentencing, the National Crime Agency issued a statement declaring the network dismantled, praising the cooperation between UK and Irish investigators. For those who had worked on the case since 2020, it marked the end of a criminal empire built on encryption and greed. It also proved that even the most secretive organized crime groups could be exposed, decoded, and brought to justice. Paul O'Brien received 21 years in prison. His deputy, Lee Mortimer, was jailed for 18 years. Marcus Elmer was sentenced to 15.5 years. While Jonathan Whitley received 10 years, Anthony Sheehan was given 4 years, and Mark and Jash received 16. In the North, Jonathan Strugos was handed 31 years, Matthew Parsons 29, and Paul Shaw 17 years and 9 months. Liam Cherrett received 9 years and 2 months, John McGuire 16 years and 11 months, and Ross McGuire 7 years and 7 months. Together, their sentences totaled nearly 195 years behind bars between March and December 2021. Investigators began noticing a new import route that caught the attention of organized crime units. At first glance, it looked completely legitimate. Shipments of bananas arriving from Costa Rica at the port of Sheerness in Kent. Every container bore the same markings, the same supplier information, and identical cold storage packaging. Nothing about them appeared unusual, but within months it became clear that one of the largest drug importations in British history was moving through those shipments, completely undetected. The operation was run by a criminal network using legitimate freight companies as a cover. Inside the containers, blocks of cocaine were hidden among the banana crates, often wrapped tightly to protect against condensation. Once the containers cleared the port, the gang would intercept them at quiet industrial estates before they reached the registered distributors. One such location was a yard in Longfield, where members of the network worked overnight to remove the drug-filled crates. To cover the theft, they replaced the missing boxes with supermarket-bought bananas, making it appear as though the shipment was untouched. The method worked for months. Containers arrived openly, were unloaded, and delivered by the usual drivers, with paperwork signed off as normal. But surveillance and intelligence gathered through Operation Venetic began linking several of these shipments to encrypted communications between Kent, Manchester, and London. The pattern revealed a carefully organized system for importing and distributing multi-ton quantities of cocaine. The breakthrough came when one container was flagged for inspection. Border Force officers, working with Kent Police and the National Crime Agency, opened the crates and found hundreds of kilograms of high-purity cocaine hidden beneath layers of legitimate produce. What happened next will be discussed shortly, but first we need to map out the entire network. Each member of the group had a clearly defined role. At the center was Danny Smith, a 32-year-old from Orpington. Smith coordinated the Sheerness importations, controlling when and where each load would be collected. Once it cleared the port, he oversaw distribution planning, arranging couriers and storage sites even before the drugs reached British soil. His EncroChat handle appeared repeatedly in exchanges discussing fruit, bananas, and consignments arriving from Central America. Working alongside him was Reese Jury, 36, from Sevenoaks, who acted as the logistics organizer. Jury handled the high vans used to collect the altered banana crates and coordinated their movement to industrial units across Kent, Essex, and the Midlands. Further north, Amir Manasherai, 34, from Manchester, provided the supplier-side link. He managed the flow of product once it reached northern England, and his Encro presence was later connected to transactions involving hundreds of thousands of pounds in cash. Evidence showing that money moved as efficiently as the drugs themselves. Two experienced distributors, Christian Lee, 50, from Sunderland, and Christopher Schock, 31, from Wigan, controlled the next stage of the network. Lee supervised deliveries across the Northeast, while Schock acted as a port handler and loader, liaising directly with dockside drivers. Supporting them was Nicky Fusedale, 42, from Norton Teesside, who managed one of the warehouse storage sites used to temporarily hold shipments before redistribution. Handling the network's finances was Addison Curtis, 37, from Margate. He laundered profits through a mix of personal and business accounts, moving cash via false invoices and shell companies. The group's encrypted communications, traced to handles like Tunes, Big Wheeler, and Rocket, revealed detailed instructions for moving loads across the UK. By the time the network was exposed, detectives had mapped dozens of journeys leaving Sheerness and leading to warehouses in Longfield, Manchester, Sunderland, and Teesside. Each route, every handover, and each payment formed a single logistics chain designed to turn legitimate banana imports into a steady stream of cocaine, feeding every corner of the country. After the first seizure at Longfield Industrial Yard, Kent Police and the National Crime Agency began the painstaking task of mapping how shipments moved through Britain. Their investigation, running through most of 2021, focused on one key question: how had more than a ton of cocaine entered the country in plain sight? Surveillance teams set up near the Longfield Yard, where the first container had been traced from the roadside. Officers watched as vans arrived late at night, often within hours of containers clearing customs at Sheerness. The same vehicles appeared repeatedly, each time collecting boxes, staying less than an hour, and leaving in convoy. When one high van was eventually intercepted, police discovered banana crate labels and packaging fragments, the exact type used on legitimate Costa Rican shipments. Laboratory tests confirmed that these labels matched the original container manifests, proving the boxes had been tampered with after leaving the port inside the van. Officers also found residue from compressed wrapping tape, identical to that used to seal cocaine blocks recovered in the Sheerness seizure. As surveillance expanded, investigators identified several key yards and storage units being used by the group. The final breakthrough came when detectives traced a series of Encro messages directly to the Sheerness network. Though the system had been compromised 3 years earlier under Operation Venetic, the backlog of decrypted material continued to yield results. Within those conversations, investigators found coded exchanges detailing the planning and movement of 30 to 100 kilogram transfers at a time, consignments hidden among banana shipments. Each message contained fragments of vital information, slowly revealing the full picture. By late 2023, after months of coordination between the National investigation, the National Crime Agency, Kent Police, and several regional organized crime units were ready to strike. In October 2023, simultaneous arrests were carried out across Kent, London, Cambridge, Staffordshire, Manchester, Cleveland, and Northumbria. The raids happened within hours of each other, targeting every location linked to the Encro handles. Inside homes, warehouses, and rented storage units, officers seized encrypted phones, laptops, ledgers, and large sums of cash. The potential street value of the drugs they had smuggled ran into hundreds of millions of pounds. The coordinated arrests marked the collapse of one of Britain's most sophisticated smuggling routes. What began with a single intercepted container at Sheerness had grown into a full-scale national takedown, built on years of encrypted messages, quiet observation, and relentless forensic work. When the case reached Maidstone Crown Court on the 1st of October 2024, prosecutors described it as one of the most sophisticated drug importation conspiracies ever dismantled in Kent. With the evidence overwhelming, most defendants entered guilty pleas. At sentencing, Judge Catherine Brown described the conspiracy as a highly organized, professional importation network built on deception, greed, and the abuse of legitimate trade. Danny Smith, 32, was jailed for 16 years and 8 months. Reese Jury, 36, received 13 years and 4 months. Amir Manukarari, 34, was sentenced to 13 years and 8 months. Christian Lee, 50, was given 19 years, while Christopher Schock, 31, received 18 years. Nikki Fusedale, 42, was sentenced to 14 years. Addison Curtis, 37, received a 2-year suspended sentence. A 34-year-old man from Manchester, whose name has not been publicly released, was also convicted. His sentencing remains pending. In total, the group received more than 90 years behind bars. But as the Sheerness network was dismantled, another smuggling chain was already in motion, this time through the quiet docks of Newhaven. By summer 2023, Sussex Police and the National Crime Agency were tracking an organized crime group operating between Belgium, France, and the UK. Intelligence suggested that large-scale drug shipments were moving through Newhaven port, hidden inside commercial freight consignments from mainland Europe. What appeared to be routine haulage runs was in fact a carefully coordinated operation, moving cocaine and ketamine worth tens of millions of pounds. At the center of the network was Charlotte Moore, 32, from Hull. She acted as the UK coordinator, arranging shipment timings, collection teams, and the vehicles that would meet lorries after they cleared customs. Working alongside her was her partner, Stephen Norris, 36, who managed logistics and communications. The pair had already drawn police attention earlier in the year after an attempted importation in May 2023. By spring 2023, the conspiracy stretched beyond Sussex and into continental Europe. In early May, Border Force officers at the Calais Eurotunnel intercepted packages that appeared to be routine freight. Forensic examination revealed 107 kilograms of cocaine, immediately widening the investigation and adding a continental dimension to what Sussex Police and the NCA were monitoring. The lorry driver on that run was identified as Kirill Lapsu, a Belarusian national. Forensic work on the seized packages recorded DNA traces linking back to Charlotte Moore, and Stephen Norris mobile phone data placed Moore and Norris in Belgium in the weeks before the Calais interception, a pattern matching the movement of the intercepted loads. Investigators also recovered internet searches from Moore's phone, showing her using translation tools to convert phrases such as, "I'm looking for cardboard moving boxes," inquiries about brown packing tape into French. Those searches were followed by purchases, providing a clear digital trail of preparation for the smuggling operation. CCTV footage and receipts showed Charlotte Moore purchasing large moving boxes from IKEA on 3rd and 4th May 2023, a pattern that prosecutors later presented as clear preparation for packaging and onward transport. The Calais seizure did not end the group's activity. Instead, it seemed to prompt a change in tactics, along with a series of test runs. In June 2023, officers stopped a Citroën at the port of Tyne and discovered a specially welded hidden compartment in its boot. Forensic swabs recovered traces of ketamine, and Border Force and NCA inquiries linked the stop back to the same organized network under surveillance in Sussex. The car was confiscated and added to the mounting evidence of deliberate attempts to find and exploit alternative routes into the UK. By late July 2023, after months of joint intelligence work, the National Crime Agency and Sussex Police's Serious Organized Crime Unit had their target in sight. Surveillance teams tracked a Belarusian-registered lorry arriving at Newhaven port from mainland Europe. As the lorry cleared customs and moved inland, 2 smaller vans began shadowing it, a Ford Transit Connect driven by Charlotte Moore and a Vauxhall Combo driven by Abdul Sarabi, with Stephen Norris traveling as Moore's passenger. Detectives followed the convoy from the docks to an industrial unit near Avis Way, Newhaven. There, the lorry driver Pavel Budsko remained with the vehicle as boxes were offloaded into the 2 vans. Moments later, both vans joined the northbound route toward Marsfield. From a distance, surveillance teams relayed the convoy's position to waiting tactical units. As the vehicles approached the A26 near Marsfield, just south of the Premier Inn at Tuckfield, officers moved in. The stop was swift and controlled. Armed units blocked both directions of the carriageway, while SOCU detectives surrounded the vans. Inside Moore's Transit Connect in Sarabi's Combo, they found 30 tightly sealed cardboard boxes. When the first box was opened, officers saw exactly what they had been expecting: compressed packages of cocaine and ketamine, vacuum sealed and stacked beneath layers of cardboard. The total discovery was staggering: 632 kilograms of ketamine and 70 kilograms of cocaine, with a combined street value of approximately £24.5 million. The largest drug recovery in Sussex history, Moore, Norris, and Sarabi were arrested at the scene on suspicion of conspiracy to import Class A and B drugs. Pavel Budsko managed to flee, leaving his lorry behind, but was later arrested on the 28th of September 2023 when he attempted to re-enter the UK. The operation exposed every link in the chain, from continental suppliers to the UK distribution team, bringing an abrupt end to a smuggling network that had believed itself untouchable. The case concluded on the 27th of June 2024 at Lewis Crown Court, sitting in Hove. Over several days, the court heard the full story of the operation, with prosecution presenting evidence gathered over a year of investigation. Detective Constable Laura Pettit of Sussex Police's Serious Organized Crime Unit and Rachel Bramley, Operations Manager for the NCA, described the case as a model of cross-agency collaboration. Pettit noted that the sentences reflected the extremely serious nature of the offenses, while Bramley praised the collective effort that brought the group to justice. Charlotte Moore, 32, the court identified as the key organizer, was sentenced to 13 years in prison. Her partner, Stephen Norris, 36, received 10 years. Pavel Budsko, 50, was jailed for 9 years. And Kirill Lapsu, 42, also received 9 years. Abdul Sarabi, 53, was acquitted after the jury accepted that there was no proof he knew the contents of his vehicle. In total, the conspiracy sentences amounted to 41 years of imprisonment, bringing formal closure to a case that had begun with a single tip-off and ended with an international takedown. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay updated on more UK crime stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of UK Crime Hub.